Prayers and meditations from the Mother. Some give their soul to the divine, some their life, some offer their work, some their money. A few consecrate all of themselves and all they have, soul, life, work, wealth. These are the true children of God. Others give nothing. These, whatever their position, power, and riches, are for the divine purpose valueless ciphers. This book is meant for those who aspire for an utter consecration to the divine. The Mother, 1941 to 1948. This book comprises extracts from a diary written during years of intensive yogic discipline. It may serve as a spiritual guide to three principal categories of seekers: those who have undertaken self-mastery, those who want to find the road leading to the divine, those who aspire to consecrate themselves more and more to the divine work. The Mother. 2nd November 1912. Translation by Sri Aurobindo. Although my whole being is, in theory, consecrated to Thee, O Sublime Master, who art the life, the light, and the love in all things, I still find it hard to carry out this consecration in detail. It has taken me several weeks to learn that the reason for this written meditation, its justification, lies in the very fact of addressing it daily to Thee. In this way, I shall put into material shape each day a little of the conversation I have so often with Thee. I shall make my confession to Thee as well as it may be, not because I think I can tell Thee anything, for Thou art Thyself everything, but our artificial and exterior way of seeing and understanding is, if it may be so said, foreign to Thee, opposed to Thy nature. Still, by turning towards Thee, by immersing myself in Thy light at the moment when I consider these things, little by little I shall see them more like what they really are, until the day when, having made myself one in identity with Thee, I shall no more have anything to say to Thee, for then I shall be Thou. This is the goal that I would reach. Towards this victory, all my efforts will tend more and more. I aspire for the day when I can no longer say I, for I shall be Thou. How many times a day still I act without my action being consecrated to Thee. I at once become aware of it by an indefinable uneasiness which is translated in the sensibility of my body by a pang in my heart, I then make my action objective to myself, and it seems to me ridiculous, childish, or blameworthy. I deplore it. For a moment, I am sad until I dive into thee, and there, losing myself with a child's confidence, await from thee the inspiration and strength needed to set right the error in me and around me. Two things that are one. For I have now a constant and precise perception of the universal unity, determining an absolute interdependence of all actions. 3rd November 1912. Translation by Sri Aurobindo. Let thy light be in me like a fire that makes all alive. Let thy divine love penetrate me. I aspire with all my being for thy reign as sovereign and master of my mind and heart and body. Let them be thy docile instruments and thy faithful servitors. November 1912. Translation by Sri Aurobindo. I said yesterday to that young Englishman who was seeking for thee with so sincere a desire that I had definitively found thee, that the union was constant. Such is indeed the state of which I am conscious. All my thoughts go towards thee. All my acts are consecrated to thee. Thy presence is for me an absolute, immutable, invariable fact, and thy peace dwells constantly in my heart. Yet I know that this state of union is poor and precarious compared with that which it will become possible for me to realize tomorrow. And I am as yet far, no doubt very far, from that identification in which I shall totally lose the notion of the I. For that I, which I still use in order to express myself, but which is each time a constraint, like a term unfit to express the thought that is seeking for expression. It seems to me indispensable for human communication, but all depends on what this I manifests. And how many times already, when I pronounce it, it is thou who speakest in me. For I have lost the sense of separativity. But all this is still in embryo and will continue to grow towards perfection. What an appeasing assurance there is in this serene confidence in thy all-might. Thou art all, everywhere and in all, and this body which acts is thy own body, just as is the visible universe in its entirety. It is thou who breathest, thinkest, and lovest in this substance, which, being thyself, desires to be thy willing servant. 26th November 1912. Translation by Sri Aurobindo. What a hymn of thanksgiving should I not be raising at each moment unto Thee! Everywhere and in everything around me Thou revealest Thyself, and in me Thy will and consciousness express themselves always more and more clearly, even to the point of my having almost entirely lost the gross illusion of me and mine. If a few shadows, a few flaws can be seen in the great light which manifests Thee, how shall they bear for long the marvelous brightness of Thy resplendent love? This morning, the consciousness that I had of the way Thou art fashioning this being, which was I, can be roughly represented by a great diamond cut with regular geometrical facets. A diamond in its cohesion, firmness, pure limpidity, transparency, but a brilliant and radiant flame in its intense, ever-progressive life. But it was something more, something better than all that, for nearly all sensation, inner and outer, was exceeded, and that image only presented itself to my mind as I returned to conscious contact with the outer world. It is Thou that makest the experience fertile, Thou who renderest life progressive, Thou who compellest the darkness to vanish in an instant before the light, Thou who givest to love all its power, Thou who everywhere raisest up matter in this ardent and wonderful aspiration, in this sublime thirst for eternity. Thou everywhere and always, nothing but Thou in the essence and in the manifestation. O shadow and illusion, dissolve. O suffering, fade and disappear. Lord Supreme, art Thou not there? 28th November 1912. Translation by Sri Aurobindo. The outer life, the activity of each day and each instant, is it not the indispensable complement of our hours of meditation and contemplation? And is not the proportion of time given to each the exact image of the proportion which exists between the amount of effort to be made for the preparation and realization? For meditation, contemplation, union is the result obtained, the flower that blooms. The daily activity is the anvil on which all the elements must pass and repass in order to be purified, refined, made supple and ripe for the illumination which contemplation gives to them. All these elements must be thus passed one after the other through the crucible before outer activity becomes needless for the integral development. Then is this activity turned into the means to manifest thee, so as to awaken the other centers of consciousness to the same dual work of the forge and the illumination. Therefore, are pride and satisfaction with oneself the worst of all obstacles. Very modestly, we must take advantage of all the minute opportunities offered to knead and purify some of the innumerable elements, to make them supple, to make them impersonal, to teach them forgetfulness of self and abnegation and devotion and kindness and gentleness. And when all these modes of being have become habitual to them, then are they ready to participate in the contemplation and to identify themselves with thee in the supreme consecration. That is why it seems to me that the work must be long and slow, even for the best, and that striking conversions cannot be integral. They change the orientation of the being. They put it definitively on the straight path. But truly to attain the goal, none can escape the need of innumerable experiences of every kind and every instant. O Supreme Master, who shinest in my being and each thing, let thy light be manifest, and the reign of thy peace come for all.